He said he had a vet. What you thought? What he actually had. One got your attention, the other built character. Yeah, very true, but hey, they were both built by Chevrolet. It's Saturday. I'm Akorn. Welcome back to Gen X and Millennial Memes, where we gather to remember a better time. Hit that like and subscribe, and let's get into today's show, starting with the AkornTV Weekly Puzzle. The clue is movie quote. R, S, and T are already showing. Drop your guesses in the comments and stay tuned because I'll have the answer later on in the show. This means the kitchen is closed for the night. Yes, it absolutely does. And if you wanted something else, then you better wash the dishes. We're making these kids soft. When I was 5, I died once and my mom made me walk it off. Things that we survived and thrived on. No helmets, hose water, lead paint, secondhand smoke, rusty playgrounds, Dad's belt. Yeah, that is a fact check true. That last one especially. And I'd say that most of us probably deserved more of that belt too. 6-year-old talking to her crying brother.
It's okay to be sad. Sometimes we need to let our feelings out. Just let yourself be sad.
Me. Oh, darling, that's so lovely. Well done. Why is he crying? 6-year-old.
I hit him.
Yeah, that poor boy is finding out about modern-day equality. Waking up is one thing, but leaving the bed is the real challenge. That is true some days. We just had a guy come into our auto parts store asking if we sold longer dipsticks because his doesn't reach his oil anymore. Yeah, this doesn't surprise me. Even back a lot of years ago when I worked in auto parts, some people do things you would never imagine. Mercurochrome wasn't just medicine. It was a bright red badge of honor. Mom painted it on your open wound, it burned like battery acid, and you went right back outside to play. The key to happiness is low expectations. Lower. Nope, even lower. There you go. I don't know, maybe. You might have to go lower though. Johnny Weissmuller starred in his first Tarzan movie in 1932. The Tarzan movies are true classics. Disney holds the franchise. Knowing how Disney remakes movies, do you think they have the guts to remake this one? No, they won't remake Tarzan, that's for sure. At least not the same way that they're remaking the other movies today. If you could travel back in time, what would you do? Me, my younger self. Yeah, that is for certain. You've just acquired a non-human 80s sidekick. Which one are you choosing? I'm gonna go with Falkor, as long as I don't have to feed or house him. I think he would be the most helpful out of the bunch here. I actually read somewhere that the Falkor puppet that they used for the movie, it was 40 foot long and took 25 people to operate it. As an 80s kid, I've been waiting for this. Yeah, and it's getting close now. And this is exactly what it'll be. One of their games. John Snyder turned 66. Hey kid, here's some identification you'll need for the rest of your life, but you're not allowed to laminate it. We went ahead and printed it on gas station toilet paper for you. For years, you could buy a metal card, but no, they made that illegal. Yeah, probably shortly after they made common sense illegal too. Today is the day you learn that Natalie from The Facts of Life sang background on Michael Jackson's Pretty Young Thing. Well, I didn't know that before, so I guess it is today. Remember live TV? Yeah, I remember the shows. I think my mom and dad liked Red Skelton the best. Everyone wanted Doc's DeLorean, but I wanted Marty's Toyota. Yeah, especially today. Not for its dollar value, but rather for its functional value. You certainly won't find no new truck anywhere close to that today. Just another Manwich Monday. Babysitter looking for work. If this was in the 90s, someone would have probably been a genius if they'd have made this for their actual babysitter job postings. Anyone ever have this kind of family get-together? Yeah, a few times. Not nearly as many as we should have. We didn't have cell phones. We had beepers. When Blockbuster peaked in 2004, it carried 8,000 titles. A modern streaming homepage usually shows fewer than 200. And choice paralysis came with a time limit. Mom gave you 10 to 15 minutes to pick something, otherwise we were leaving empty-handed. Yeah, and I've heard people complaining pretty much about every streaming service today that most of the time, whatever it is that you actually wanted to watch, you usually still have to end up paying extra for it. Either because it requires another subscription, or you have to rent it, or whatever. This is Rex. He lives in Leavenworth, Kansas. Don't be scared. He was part of a kids' amusement park, but he never ate a kid. He also said that this was all that was left of that kids' amusement park today, which is where he worked at when he was 13. Do rich people still drive around eating expensive mustard? Probably. They just don't show it off anymore like they used to. Wife. In the entry, let's put something inspirational and meaningful on the wall. Me. Okay. The cream always rises to the top. I just thought this one here was pretty funny. Mork and Mindy. Final episode aired 44 years ago. Not to brag, but I was alive when you could slam the phone down to hang up on someone. It was spectacular. Yes, it was. Just hitting a button on the phone, let alone a button on a touchscreen, just does not have the same effect. Not a cell phone in sight, just people living in the moment. Yeah. How much longer do they have from this point? Gen X, raised on mixtapes, sarcasm, and self-reliance. Yeah, I would fully agree with this. Which is the worst chocolate candy from the box? I'm gonna go with coconut. I've never liked any kind of coconut candy. Which one would you guys choose? Things parents told you when they left you home alone by yourself. It depends on the age, but I'd say most of us heard something like, "I'm locking this door, and don't you open it for anybody but us." Sarah Connor watching humanity build data centers for AI. Yeah, it might not be in the exact same way, but we're still watching them build our enslavement all over the country. And very soon, I won't be able to say anything about this in a video, because any negative feedback to our data centers is already starting to be censored. At the start of the show, we had this week's puzzle. The clue is movie quote. Let's see how many of you got it right. The answer is, well, what if there is no tomorrow? There wasn't one today. A quote from Phil Connors, played by Bill Murray, in Groundhog's Day. How do you guys like these kind of puzzles? I had a similar style one last week, but I had to manually edit that one quite a bit. This puzzle here is actually just screenshots from a game that I created with ChatGPT. I didn't even know it could do things like this, but I was searching for something similar to this to have during the live streams. And on the last live stream, we ended up doing about a dozen different puzzles, with people in the chat guessing letters until someone solved the answer. Kind of like Wheel of Fortune, without the wheel, and the points don't matter. But let me know in the comments if you guys want to see more of these in future shows. Breaking news, Warriors signed Scott Howard to 5-year, $150 million deal. Well, with all the stuff these days, he'd probably just blend right in. It's 2026, and I still want this stereo. Yeah, I really would. If I had a place to put it, I'd find some place though. If these walls could talk, they'd remind me why I walked into this room. Well, that would certainly be helpful. They told Christians to keep faith out of schools for 50 years. Now they're rolling out prayer rugs for Ramadan. The double standard is outrageous. I put this in today's show because we were all told our whole lives about separation of church and state. Well, apparently it doesn't apply to mosques because they're pushing this in schools all over the country, especially in the major cities. I'll have this one in tomorrow's show also on my other channel. Every grandmother in the 80s had soap that we couldn't use. Yes, this is true, and I never understood it. Why have something that's made of soap, but you can't use the soap? The same thing applies to candles that you're not allowed to burn. Being an adult is trying to figure out what to do with ground beef and chicken for the rest of your life. They're not completely wrong. New study links parental indulgence to psychopathic and narcissistic traits in adulthood. Yeah, as is written. You spare the rod, you spoil the child. It doesn't just mean spoiled as in they're given everything they want, but it also applies to the other sense of the word, as in how they act, which surprisingly, they still listed this section as part of its definition. Behavior. It usually results in an entitled attitude, frequent tantrums, or self-centeredness, and the inability to handle hearing the word no. Does this definition right here not pretty much sum up a large amount of the younger generation? It didn't happen by accident. If you enjoyed today's show, you'll love the one that'll pop up right here in just a moment. The next AkornTV live stream Hangout and Smoke session will be tomorrow night, June the 7th at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you'd like to submit memes, links, news, or anything else, you can send it to akornzstash@gmail.com. All links can be found down below in the video description. I'd like to thank all of you for watching to the end of the show because it really helps to support the channel. I'll be back tomorrow on my other channel, AkornStash, for the latest episode of Laugh While the World Burns, which airs every Sunday. Until then, I thank you all for watching. You guys take care and stay safe this weekend. This is Akorn, over and out.